All right, let's just jump right into this. I want you to picture a scenario, a war with Iran. A war the US and its allies thought, hey, this will be over in an hour. But now, it's dragging into its second month. We're talking missiles flying, military bases getting hit, and a conflict that was supposed to be quick and clean has just exploded across the entire Middle East.
And that right there, that's the central mystery we're going to unpack today. How on earth did the United States, a nation that's always been about its alliances, find itself so completely alone in a major crisis? What happened?
Well, to really get it, you have to understand how the rest of the world has started to see the U.S. Analysts are saying America has basically become like that boastful uncle you try to dodge at family get-togethers. You know the type. Years of President Trump's abrasive, we'll-do-it-our-way style has just pushed all these partners away. And now, at this absolutely critical moment, that diplomatic isolation is having some really devastating consequences.
To see just how real this isolation is, let's look at the first major fallout: the absolutely stunning and rapid defection of America's key NATO partners. We're talking about allies who have stood shoulder to shoulder with the U.S. for generations.
And the shock here, it's just profound. I mean, look, these aren't rival nations. These are the countries that invoked Article 5 after 9/11, that have fought and bled alongside America in one conflict after another. And yet now, in just a matter of weeks, they're not just staying neutral. They are actively blocking the American war effort.
Germany's declaration was so blunt, it sent a shockwave through the entire alliance. By just flatly coming out and saying this was not our war, they drew a really clear line in the sand. But you know what? They were far from the only ones.
And the no's just keep piling up. This isn't about polite diplomatic language anymore. Poland is refusing to move critical missile defenses. France is literally blocking supplies to Israel. Italy is denying refueling permissions at a key airbase. And Spain? Spain is closing everything down. These are concrete logistical moves that are seriously hamstringing the U.S. military.
Okay, but here's the thing. This isn't just about allies being fed up with President Trump's personality. I mean, that's a huge factor, for sure. But it basically opened the door for Iran to play an absolutely brilliant strategic hand, turning America's diplomatic weakness into a powerful weapon of its own.
And the key to Iran's entire strategy is this one tiny waterway, the Strait of Hormuz. It is one of the most critical economic choke points on the entire planet. And Iran realized, hey, we don't need to defeat the US militarily if we can just control the world's access to energy.
Now, check this out. Iran's plan is way smarter than just a simple blockade. It's this sophisticated, three-tiered economic play. They've slammed the door shut on their enemies, the US and Israel. They've opened it up for free to their friends, and then they've offered a third option to everybody else. Stay neutral, pay us a fee, and your energy supplies will keep flowing. It's brilliantly designed to peel America's allies away one by one.
So you might be asking, why is this strategy so devastatingly effective? Well, just look at the numbers. For countries like Italy and Spain, nearly 40% of their natural gas comes through that region. Iran has forced them into an impossible choice: side with your longtime American ally and risk your economy collapsing, or abandon the U.S. to keep the lights on.
And guess what? That's exactly what they've chosen to do. You can call it blackmail if you want, but from a purely strategic perspective, it's a masterstroke. Iran weaponized Europe's economic dependency, and they've effectively isolated America by making the price of loyalty just too high to pay.
So, where does that leave the U.S.? Well, with its allies gone and its supply lines choked off, we can now see the incredibly dire position America has been backed into. The war has exposed some shocking vulnerabilities, not just in its alliances, but in its actual military might.
On the ground, the story is just grim. More than half of U.S. air defenses in the region are gone. Critical radar systems, their eyes in the sky, have been knocked out. Advanced jets and drones have been shot down. Even America's mighty aircraft carriers have been forced to pull back. And to make matters even worse, Israel hasn't even committed to sending in ground troops if the U.S. invades. I mean, the contrast here could not be starker. On one side, you've got the U.S. militarily weakened, diplomatically isolated, and facing sinking support back home. On the other side, Iran's morale is sky high, its leadership is defiant, and it's reportedly getting hardware and satellite intel from both China and Russia. The tables have just completely turned.
So all of this brings us to the final choice. This leaves President Trump, and really the entire world, at this terrifying crossroads. And there seem to be only two ways out of this mess. One that's logical, and one that's, well, not so much.
Okay, so path A, the logical one. You cut your losses, you declare mission accomplished, pull the troops out, and try to salvage whatever's left of America's reputation, even if it means handing Iran indirect control of the Strait of Hormuz. But then, there's the other path, the illogical one. Give in to ego, double down, and order a full-scale ground invasion, risking a global economic meltdown, and according to the source material, for a president who has never learned how to back down, this is probably the more likely choice.
And as we speak, reports are already emerging that more U.S. ground support aircraft are heading to the Middle East. The president says one thing on TV, but his actions seem to suggest another. And so we're left with this one final, deeply unsettling question. Faced with humiliation or a catastrophic escalation, what will he choose?